Hey everybody, it is Wednesday, March 31st, 2021. Wait, is the music? Really? I thought I had fixed that with the overlay, I guess not. Okay, I'll do a quick adjustment here. Looks like it's hard to tell how much it covers. Okay, this should be easy enough though. Though amusingly, it's always... OBS makes this so much harder than it needs to be to fix. Okay, let's switch over to this because that's where it matters more. Okay, we'll lock you guys. There, now we can actually pick it. Yeah, I would have sworn I had this fixed. Okay. No, Corbin is evidently occupied with a crazy thing called waiting for packages. Because we can't have delivery services that ever arrive and place stuff at the right times. Okay, we could also do something. Let's see if we can't fix this this transparency just a little bit. Okay, and man, I need to light this room better so that this green screen actually goes fully green. That would be so awesome. Fortunately, I'll hop over into the other view in just a moment. I just have to get the right window capture set up. Ooh, plus, I bet I need to... Yep, I'm going to have to fix the chat box in all of these. That's weird. Has it been screwy like this whole time and I didn't notice? Because I swear I had this fixed previously. Okay. I should be copying my settings over so this doesn't bounce like a couple pixels, but we'll live with it today. Oh, yeah, I can do that just slightly better. Yeah, the background, until I relight this room, or actually better yet, move to a different room entirely, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of good way to fix the background. It's not perfect, but it will do. It'll do. Okay. And I need to pick the correct browser window. Get on to... Where is it? That's it. And we'll just have to fudge that over a little bit so that we're cutting into comments the way that we always do, which may be ugly, but it works. Okay. It's like I know what I'm doing, even if I don't. So, how is everyone's week going? It seems like this is a weird week. I'm seeing so many odd things happening out in the news. It's turning into one of those like normal world weeks. I feel like politics have almost completely dwindled out of almost every conversation, which is awesome. We're seeing companies getting back to doing their shady business, and of course, the FTC is a spineless hack of a organization that's not doing its job. In other news, but no, seriously, really quick points. If anyone has any topics, feel free to start dropping those either into the RambleCast Discord chat, or you can mention them in the YouTube chat, but it's probably easier to drop them in the RambleCast chat. Second, let's see. I am running on technically something in the neighborhood of about 4-ish, 2-ish, 3-ish hours of sleep. So let's keep in mind that this may be not the longest running episode. I'm wondering if I can just this. I wonder if this would fix some of the fuzziness. If I can adjust this. Oh, that looks a little better. Slightly. Yeah. As I'm watching it shift, it got a little more even, at least. That's something. I'm gonna take it as a win. Okay, anyway, yeah, so I've got a few topics, but if anyone has anything else, Green New Deal, that would be quite the topic. Is there actually any new news related to this? I haven't noticed any this week, but man, it's honestly been kind of hard to follow the news. I've been running around doing a lot of other stuff. Shooting some photos, returning a drone, which review is incoming. I'll actually really quick. I'll give the super Cliff Notes version of what the review is gonna say. In short, the DJI FPV drone, really fun, super fun. It is the most fun I've had flying a drone ever. It comes with a caveat though. It is basically useless for production work. If you want to get like those smooth, just like insanely clean shots of like flyovers, like pointing down at a car as it drives along, or like shooting down at the woods or forest or even the buildings below, anything like that, this is not the drone for it. It's shaky by comparison to any other DJI drone, and most of all, this is like the biggest problem with it. It has only a single axis gimbal, and it's only for tilt up and down. So if you turn the drone, if you fly it laterally, it means the camera turns like this as it moves along. Actually, I guess it like this as it moves that direction. So you get tilted footage, and there is no software to fix this right now. So it is basically useless for any sort of traditional nice clean drone shots. Is DJI letting me keep it? No, I just sent it back. Which, don't get me wrong, I love the drone. It's like I said, it's so much fun. It flies faster. It feels like it has more control. Especially thanks to the goggles. The goggles let you see in ways you could never possibly see otherwise. I mean, being able to actually see it up close, you don't have the sun washing out your phone screen, you don't have things in tiny print that you're trying to look at and make heads or tails of. This is completely different. Having everything shown through the goggles is amazing. but man, yeah, just so useless for any other purpose. Like, it would be great if you're doing shots that involve flying through the trees at high speed, or like the classic tree cover shot that a lot of YouTubers, well, some YouTubers do. It's something that you really caught with like Sam Calder, which I know that name probably means nothing to anybody, but yeah, his whole thing, he got into doing this ages ago, and it's the classic like flying just above the treetops and swooshing in and out of them. Yeah, that sort of thing. It's good for that purpose, but that's about it. Okay, slight adjustment to camera angle. So yeah, great drone, lots of fun, but yeah, not a production thing. And yes, DJI is having me send it back. Let's see. Yes, Austin, I see that link. And yeah, see, Soldana, I believe me, I had that page open already. You better believe I had that page open already. So let's see. Yeah, I haven't looked too deep into Biden's $2 trillion plan, but that may become a topic later. We'll come back to that. But in the meantime, yeah, let's just jump into the big one. T-Mobile and Google are just super buddy. We already talked about this in the Discord, so I mean, there's obviously been some discussion. You guys already know a bit of my opinion. I gotta say, this is interestingly huge. I'm so curious what it means, in the sense of what are the ambitions here? Who is the winner in this equation, both between Google and T-Mobile, and which departments within Google, and possibly which departments within T-Mobile, because T-Mobile is killing multiple services in this process. We're seeing them drop, probably safe for politics, yeah, and then buddy hype, no kidding. Wait, what? Also, the YouTube TV re-sign up is a hassle. Oh, like going through T-Mobile's thing? That's interesting. I didn't know that you had to. Well, I guess that makes sense. You would have to sign up under T-Mobile as opposed to signing up on it like as yourself, I suppose. And knowing them, I'm sure they made it as much of a hassle as possible, because nothing's ever going to be simple in that equation. Anyway, let's see. You have to cancel and then go back. Oof. Yeah, that is not good. So, yeah, you would lose recordings. That is really dumb. Makes you wonder, how many people did they test this, or just think, yeah, people will be fine, who cares? But yeah, anyways, so this is one of those things where you've got part of Google is obviously trying to push RCS, and Android Messages is a weirdly powerful group within Google. We hear various things happening kind of because of that group, and it often seems to stretch outside of just Google, which is weird because we're talking about an app that only came into existence in terms of Google apps fairly recently. It was this weird extra thing that existed because, Hangouts couldn't be used for messaging with carriers anymore. Or rather, carriers wanted their own messaging app as opposed to Hangouts. And now here we are looking at Android messages as kind of a high-powered group that seems to be like pushing agenda. It's odd. I can't make heads or tails of that. But obviously they are pushing for RCS to make a bigger impact. And after all of this time, we've seen T-Mobile talk up RCS a lot. Like a lot. And every single time, it's almost always in the context of Samsung. So now here we are with, I guess... Okay, so just to call out the exact phrasing, which I question if maybe The Verge may not have this accurate. I don't think that they got this wrong, but I'm wondering if maybe somewhere in translation this may not be right. But it says the list includes officially supporting Google's Android messages with RCS app on all of T-Mobile's Android phones. Here's the thing. What about Samsung phones? Because Samsung phones were previously pushing really hard to be the RCS support for any, like, Samsung services were going to support RCS on Samsung phones. That used to be a hard absolute. And I'm assuming that Samsung has probably dropped a little bit. Like, they're probably not being as forceful about this. But it seems interesting that this is now just the carrier has laid down the law and that's it. Some site asked them directly. Okay. You'll get Samsung messages and Google messages pre-installed. I'm assuming you probably get to choose if it comes to that, or maybe it's just automatically going to Google now. But whatever the case, here we are with Google now ruling the roost with RCS for the large part internationally. Because yes, there are some international carriers that provide their own RCS implementations, but now one of the big three is also one of the big three in the US is also going to Google. At this point, I'm just guessing, but I would have to assume Google now manages RCS for what? A third to half, maybe 60-70% of all the people that can use RCS. I'm assuming Google is now providing it. Isn't this exactly what Google was trying to avoid? I don't know, but at this point, it's looking like Google is the main provider of RCS, which, you know, Corbin said it. I'm saying it, and I think at this stage, a lot of people are saying it. Isn't this exactly what it like? I mean, not only did Google say this was not the goal, but now at this point, Google is basically just rolling out their own version of iMessage effectively. Don't tell the FCC or FTC. Well, FTC and FCC. I mean, both of them would probably lose their crap over this. But this isn't. Well, Google tried to be hands-off initially, but I don't feel like... Okay, so here's the thing. Google did try to be hands-off, which was a great idea. I still think that was actually the right way to start. They genuinely did make the effort, I think. So, and I'll come back to why I'm kind of hedging on that just in a second. But that initial effort, obviously, we all saw this. The going story was, and I mean, come on. I think everyone saw the writing on the wall. Carriers were being greedy. The way everybody behaved was bad. And the end result was we saw the possibility of RCS basically becoming an advertising platform for the carriers. It was looking like a way to mass produce a new outlet and channel for harassing customers. It was being implemented poorly with inconsistent support. So even though everybody supposedly was on universal profile, the fact is it didn't work right between carriers sometimes. In the rare cases where carriers even supported it with each other. So everything just went wrong. And to some extent, I'm wondering, and okay, I'm saying this in a conspiratorial way. I don't think this is conspiratorial, but it's hard not to make it sound that way. To some extent, I'm wondering if Google saw this coming before anything ever happened. A little bit of me looks at this and wonders, did anyone at Google sit there and say, if we try rolling out this system, is everyone going to screw it up? And at the end of the day, we're going to end up taking over? Because that could happen. I think somebody had to have said that. Someone there at one point or another said, nah, those guys are going to screw it up. Now, maybe they didn't plan for that contingency. Maybe they didn't build around that plan. But somewhere along the way, I think that may have been what happened. And the end result still ends up in Google's favor. The company now is managing RCS effectively. So where it goes from here, who knows, but so few apps, there's still no public API for it. So you still can't build your own custom messaging app that works with RCS. Carriers are like internationally speaking, most carriers have accepted RCS in the form of Google's provision. The only OEM that seems to really have its own counter version to this is Samsung, which even Samsung seems to be like, yo, we're not that worried about this anymore. It just doesn't matter to us. So this has ended up being a back channel way for Google to take over messaging again, and it's kind of working. And is it possible that Google either planned this? I mean, that's always a possibility. Maybe Google planned this, or is this that perfect example of when you stop trying, you find success? Google stopped trying, and they were like, here, yo, just take it. Here's RCS, it's yours. Do with it what you will. And then everyone's like, cool, thanks, we'll do that. Hey, could you actually do it for us? And here we are with Google running the show. Not sure what to make of it, but it is such a weird dynamic that we're in now. Okay, really quick, just filtering through things that were said in chat. Yeah, in 12 months they'll probably make you decide on free Netflix or $10 off YouTube TV. Nice. Recorded programs in your library will expire after 21 days. We'll save your library preferences in case you want to sign up again later. Okay, that's good. Okay, there's the bit about Samsung. Bixby, your assistant messages. Yeah. I often wonder what that. It's been so long since I've used the Samsung, like modern Samsung phones. I honestly do wonder what it's like these days with that. How much of it is the setup process where you have to pick between Google's versions of things and Samsung's version of things, or any other company's versions of things, because I'm imagining that setup process is getting awkward. Austin, Allo would have been a better solution in this case. We would have all had a better messaging platform years ago. I still don't think Allo was good. I know it was better, in the pure like seamlessness of it. But my god, I did not like Allo. I mean, it was fine as a regular messaging app. I'm not saying it was like poorly implemented, but the requirement for a phone number, the whole thing where if you switch to a different phone, you lose your history and access on the first phone. Their inexplicable need to make sticker packs as big as they could. Like that, they were pushing sticker packs too hard. Especially for the fact that they didn't really add like a good aftermarket solution on sticker packs. Like it, or I guess third-party solution, whatever. It would have been so nice if people could sort of agree to maybe like other sources for stickers. You could already send any sticker you wanted. It's not like you had to use their sticker packs, but it didn't need to be so difficult. Anyway, let's see. Give me my whisper shout feature and assistant better in messages. Yeah, the whisper shout feature. A lot of people like that. You know what? My only complaint about whisper shout. Well, it's not my only complaint, but my biggest complaint is that they needed to rein it in a little bit. You could whisper so tiny it became almost unreadable. At least, well, depends on what phone you're using. But imagine for someone who maybe doesn't have good eyes, or maybe they're trying to look at stuff in like in a rush or something. Man, if whisper was too small, it was awful. And the same goes with shout. If it was too big, you could absolutely blow away everything that was on the screen, and it was not a good experience. So I think they just needed to rein it in a bit so that it how else can you tell your mother-in-law she's a bitch? I mean, you make a fantastic point. But yeah, if they had made it so whisper was like half size of regular, that's probably as small as it should have gone. I don't know, maybe like 3/4 size, whatever. Small enough that you can make it obvious that it's smaller, but not so small that it's hard to read. And shouting I could see, like a 3 times the size of your regular text, but not to the point that it was just absolutely giant. Let's see. Google should have seen this coming, but I'm sure they didn't. Here's the thing. I can never tell if Google is a secret genius that has all the answers already written. Sort of like Back to the Future, the sports almanac. Like, are they looking at a thing where they can already see what's going to happen when they do certain stuff? Sometimes I think that might be the case, because they will choose to do absolutely insane things, and somehow it works out. The company's still making tons of money, despite, I mean, how often do we have conversations about Google doing terribly stupid crap, but somehow the company's still rich? So they're doing something right. I mean, maybe the show of incompetence in many cases is it let's see, what is the I can't think of the term I'm looking for, but it just seems like it could be a show. Maybe Google is secretly running around doing genius level stuff, and we just don't see it because they're so busy having other things completely fuck up on the side. And some of the fuck ups somehow turn into successes. Again, here we are, we're talking about Android, or we're talking about RCS. Everything about that was a complete disaster, except for the fact it's succeeding. Let's see, just need the Apple partnership. Yeah. I think this is the thermonuclear option. Yeah, just play dumb and the carriers give up. The name of Allo set it up for fail. Yeah, but I completely agree with that. Allo was one of the worst naming decisions they could have had. I genuinely think that was a thing where somebody... I think somebody came up with the name Duo for the video chat side, and everyone probably agreed. I think they liked it, which is ironic because the name has so little context once you add like 3-person chat or above. Once they made it support multiple conversations, Duo stopped being Duo, but that's not important. So anyway, during that naming process, I feel like somebody probably jokingly said, hey, let's just call it Allo. Or I guess said with the accent, Allo. At which point everyone's like, oh, that's cute, that's funny, haha. And maybe they like penciled that in as the name, not intending it to stick, and then it stuck. Again, this all smells like accidents that somehow work out. Anyway, Austin, I see Google as more of a Donald Trump level strategist. Yeah. It's sad, but in a weird way that makes sense. They probably wanted international use indeed for Allo. They're like, it works everywhere. They wanted a WhatsApp spot. Yeah, wanting WhatsApp spot, I don't doubt that's the case, and to me the reason for having any of these things is less about necessarily winning the messaging war, because to me the messaging war is it's a sunk cost situation. You're going to have tons of expensive infrastructure, but owning this space likely does not result in real profit. I mean, if you truly own the space, you can abuse it and take advantage. But if you're one of like 2 or 3 owners, it's almost impossible to do that. Why is my throat? Me. Good, we're good to go. But yeah, I don't know what they're thinking with this. So anyway, switching back into the news story, I gotta say, the adoption of RCS will be good, even if it doesn't necessarily play out as I think we'd all like to see, which I say this, but at the same time I'm skeptical that this is a good outcome. I think we all would like to see Google just fully take over RCS, and at that point Verizon, AT&T, both of them just drop their efforts, let Google take over, and whatever international carriers remain, it can either be they could optionally keep running. I don't think Google cares that much if a few international carriers have their own thing, because they clearly want to own the US more than they want to own most of the rest of the world, which is still such a weird dynamic. But here we are, we're looking at a case of Google will likely own RCS. And once RCS is universally supported across all carriers, let's be honest, Apple will eventually be forced to support it. I've been saying this for a long time. I still hold to my theory. As soon as the day comes that people are saying, hey, why don't I, or hey, it looks bad that my iPhone can't communicate with all these other phones. Before, when it was these other phones can't keep up with my iPhone, that was a good thing for Apple. It makes Apple look like the badass. Now, I'm sure that narrative is going to slowly change, and the more Google owns RCS, the faster that change will happen. At which point we're going to see the general public is going to start saying, hey, look, I'm sending high res images through messaging just fine. I'm getting read receipts, I'm getting this, I'm getting that, I've got all this stuff, the same stuff Apple has, except, you know, some of the very, very Apple specific features. If I'm getting all that stuff without a problem on my Android phone with every other Android user, why am I not getting this with Apple users? Why is it when I send something to an Apple user, they're just getting a crappy text message? They're not getting high res images. And at that point, I think Apple's going to be forced to make iMessage universal with RCS. They'll have to support it. And the day that comes, that'll be good. It will happen. I just don't think it's going to happen that quickly. Let's see. Austin said, for T-Mobile, I think encrypted RCS is huge false flag. They will waive when they start selling network traffic data. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anybody talking about encrypted RCS is likely kind of full of crap. Because it's not like the companies can't see what's in there. I'm pretty sure this isn't true end to end. They've talked it up like it is, but I'm pretty sure they've got access to decrypt any message they need to. Whether or not they're doing it, I don't know, but I think they have the ability. Let's see. Cecil Donna, the carrier support of RCS doesn't really matter as long as the device is using the Messages app. Okay. I half agree, I half disagree. So, you're right in the sense of, as long as Google provides the interface, then that is a very strong position to start from. That is Google sort of owning the space in the same way that they kind of owned the web via search. They didn't have to provide the content that you were headed for, but by providing the interface that you use to get there, they still own that space. That, in that sense, I agree. I disagree in the sense of, and that this is maybe a kind of a niche issue, but at the same time, I think it's probably the most important one. At the end of the day, when Google says, we want new features, we want to implement a new thing, we look at Apple. Apple just added such and such thing, which of course Diablo just mentioned lasers, but yeah, the good old iMessage lasers, which apparently lots of people either love or hate. There's no middle ground on the lasers. But if Google one day says, hey, we want to add such and such feature, at which point, what happens if Google doesn't own kind of top to bottom? Like, it's one thing to own the app, but if that feature relies on something that's actually built into RCS, if they want to add new profiles above universal profile, or maybe they want to change the universal profile, at that point, they can do it if they own all of RCS. And to me, that's the difference. I could be wrong, but I think at this stage, so much of the goal is going to be being able to evolve RCS from this point on. what's the version numbers of RCS anymore? I have no idea. The carriers need to focus on SIM hijacking and intercepted messages. Dear God, yes. That is to this, the mere fact that there's so many stories about takeovers and hacks that are easy to accomplish, it's getting to be too much. So, yeah, as it stands, the RCS part of this story is interesting. This leaves me with more questions than answers, to put it lightly. In the mere fact that this is so much a part of the story is interesting. Why RCS and Android messages should matter so much in this story makes me think that there's probably more to it that we're not quite hearing yet. Anyway, the next part of it, of course, and we already kind of got into it, but T-Mobile is dropping its own TV services for YouTube TV. Why this is happening, it makes a lot of sense to me, because I don't think any carrier actually does any of it. Like, I don't think they're making good money off of their services. And of course, the next point in here was also that Google One is going to become the default backup service. And here's the thing, honestly, like, I've got friends, or had friends that worked at AT&T. I don't think I have too many friends working there these days, but I've had friends work at AT&T, and I've asked them before, do you have any idea, like, how many people are using any of these weird AT&T specific services? And their answer is almost always, I've never seen one. Or, oh yes, you know, there were a couple groups of people that come in, like families that use a particular thing because they don't know to look anywhere else, but it's not that many. Hardly anybody uses this stuff, and it's mostly because it's overpriced. It doesn't work very well, and in a lot of cases, if it's something that's supposed to work between two different services, that doesn't ever happen. Like, if you need to share something, or if you need to do video chats with somebody who's on a different carrier, you're not going to get anywhere with that. It doesn't work. So all too often, these services are just kind of really expensive projects that fail a few years in, and then they just kind of sit around. They might get added, they might still technically be supported, but they're not getting new content, or they're not getting improvements, and so they just diminish and disappear. I don't know if that's necessarily the case with T-Mobile's TV service, but I can't help but think that might be the story. At which point, now they don't have to waste any money with it. And the fact that I don't know the deal. Is this if you're a T-Mobile subscriber, do you just basically automatically get? Okay, so T-Mobile customers get $10 off the service, and there will be various offers, including 3 months of YouTube Premium. Okay, so yeah, my feeling on this is that it's probably not going to have that much of an impact on most people. But yeah, I'm assuming one way or another YouTube TV is better than what T-Mobile's services included. I guess I don't know. Show of hands, anybody have an opinion on that? But they haven't said what the Google One partnership will be. Yeah, there's no details yet. Not that I saw, but it's just going to become the default backup service, which to me reads as to me that basically reads as they're just going to start pushing Google One in the same way that they already encouraged everybody to use T-Mobile's old backup service they had an old backup service, right? I think, pretty sure they did. I assume they're just going to basically stop offering that, or maybe they'll have it as like a side feature for businesses, but for regular users, they'll just start funneling those people over to Google. I'm guessing. I will say though, it strikes me as interesting that they're calling it, or they're specifically saying Google One will be the backup service as opposed to Google Drive. To me, this means in all likelihood they're either going to give people like a low tier storage upgrade on Google One, or they might just give a discount. Or sort of like with YouTube TV, it'll be like a flat rate off, sort of like another $10 off sort of deal. Whatever the case here, the part that interests me is that it says specifically Google One. I'm wondering, does that mean that you get all the other perks of Google One? Are you going to get... By the way, I'm really blown away that none of my phones have... No phones and the Nest Hub, none of them have woken up from me saying the G name like 100 times in the last couple minutes. But anyway, so if they get the perks of Google One, that means they're going to see what is it? Little things like the free Play Store credit that you get every week, which is just a few cents. They're going to have, depending on which disc or which level of Google One, you might be getting things like the Google Store discount on buying new devices. They might, will this include things like the photos features that are like paywalled? What among these things? Is it all of it? Because if it's all of it, that's super cool. That actually makes T-Mobile a real value add for a lot of people. So I'm curious. And I want to know, this, we'll never get these details, but I want to know what T-Mobile gets out of this. Is this going to be like a kickback sort of thing? However many subscribers or like paid upgrades this brings in, does T-Mobile get a kickback? Is Google just straight up paying T-Mobile to advertise and kind of give this stuff away? Or vice versa? Is T-Mobile looking at how much it costs to run these things on its own and said, you know what, we still want to offer this stuff, it's good for us, but we'd rather just offer your service and we'll cover a little of that cost? Like, someone's got to be covering the costs here, and I honestly can't even figure out who it is. That's the weirdest part of this. I don't even know who is necessarily covering these costs. And obviously customers will be paying for stuff, but who's that winner in this scenario? Like, perhaps Google is paying T-Mobile to sort of be the advertiser, but T-Mobile's saving money? I just can't figure it out. It's such a strange dynamic. Anyway, let's see. Back to comments. Scrolling up. Thankfully, they closed the SMS redirect hack. Yeah, no kidding. They finally figured out the business part of RCS problem. T-Mobile is ready to give you better ads in your messages. Exactly. I mean, so much of RCS, their big advertising point has been, eventually someday you'll be able to buy products over RCS, which, I mean, you already can, but you'll be able to use things like Google Wallet and Google Pay, and you'll be able to transfer money, and through RCS you can buy products. This is now a thing. So obviously they really want that marketing space. let's see. The T-Mobile reps I've talked to barely know what plans they have, much less adding home internet and TV service to things they sell. Yeah, okay, so it's been a long time, a very long time since I've interacted with anyone at T-Mobile. My interactions have never been inspiring, let's say. They've never given me much confidence in T-Mobile's people. Their sales reps do not seem to know much of anything. While I'm not going to say nice things about AT&T or AT&T's reps, because I think generally speaking, they're also idiots. They at least typically know the product better. They usually know what they offer. They usually know what they've got available. They usually know their plans at least well enough to tell you what the prices are and what's included. They may not necessarily know all the little nitpicky details, but at least they know their plans. And they don't know shit about the phones they sell. I mean, that's hopeless. Oh my god. AT&T reps are terrible at phones. Though to be fair, I haven't seen as Verizon or T-Mobile reps are any better. But at least when it comes down to knowing your product, AT&T reps seem to always be spot on. Let's see. Saldana, they haven't really said what the Google One partnership would be. Okay, yeah. T-Mobile didn't have a storage backup service before this. Okay. I didn't know that, but that's interesting. I could be wrong, but I think that makes T-Mobile basically the only one that didn't. I know, or I believe Verizon does. I know for a fact AT&T does. I can't recall if Sprint did, but I actually don't think Sprint did either. Let's see. Diablo, T-Mobile One. I mean, I could kind of see that. See, Saldana, I think T-Vision was pretty awful anyways. I mean, I don't know. I never used it, obviously, but I would not be surprised. That's the thing. These extra streaming services, these attempts at little pocket services just never turn out well. They never include the features people want to use. They don't, and they're not a good experience. I mean, it's fine, or it was fine back several years ago. These sorts of streaming services had a great impact on kind of demonstrating to people that this is something that was wanted. People wanted to be able to watch TV on their phones. They wanted to be able to, you know, on their lunch break at work, sit down and watch something. And I would argue Netflix made this sort of thing actually possible and good. Now that Netflix has kind of come in and demonstrated all the ways to make a good streaming experience, a decent app, quality that actually looks good, it's demonstrated people want this, and it's demonstrated a good way to have it. So, the carriers aren't going to be able to keep up with that. Let's see, free Nest Minis for life. No more. I have too many already. Awesome. T-Mobile gets a backup service and Google money. Yeah, that's the thing. I just don't know who benefits at what levels. Let's see. Sounds like Google paid T-Mobile off. I mean, it does sound that way. And I'm sure to some extent that had to have happened, but how much money is this possibly saving T-Mobile anyway? And is T-Mobile just getting paid straight across for this? It's like paying for advertising, or is T-Mobile possibly getting like referrals. Like every person that signs up to Google One or pays more for Google One and YouTube TV, does every person doing that earn T-Mobile like $1 or $2? Because that's kind of what I would generally expect, but we don't know. T-Mobile just did so much overhead, and they likely got paid big bucks by Google for it. Yeah. There's no denying T-Mobile is a winner in this story. I'm just curious how much of a winner. Let's see. Sadly, Google removed pay from messages for no reason. Did they? I didn't even notice that. Admittedly, I never use that screen or the attached screen in messages. Or, well, almost never. But yeah, it is just not a useful feature for me, and using pay through messages like triply so. Never have a reason for this. If I'm doing anything, it's almost always the few times, well, even that, not really. I was gonna say the few times that I've ever needed something like that, I usually use Venmo. But even Venmo, I don't think I've ever actually paid anybody through Venmo. People at anytime I've ever used Venmo, it's usually to when we go out, I put something on my credit card and other people just Venmo me the money. And I can't tell, does that make me the progressive one or the old man in that scenario? Because it's going on my credit card and everyone else is just sending me the money. I don't know. That actually is an odd thought. I don't know why I'm thinking of it, because it's not a great thought. But it wouldn't be the RambleCast without a ramble. Anyway, probably since you can chat in the Google Pay app, it's not wrong. Which, okay, I know that this is a side subject, but seriously, how did Venmo become the chat app that people actually wanted to use? Like, what? I don't understand this. I don't understand how it was popular to send money publicly on Venmo. Okay, sometimes you might be kind of conveying a message or something, but I see people very seriously, very sincerely sending stuff on Venmo and saying what it was for, and it's like, wait, why are you telling the world about this? What compels you to think it's good to tell people what you're paying someone back for? And some of the stuff that people admit that they're sending money for, it's like, guys, are you sure you're not confessing to crimes at this point? Because it feels like you might be. Austin, with T-Mobile, you want to use Twitter support. T-Force knows a lot, and they can usually even talk Spectrum with you. Okay, yeah, that's 100% true. I would go so far as to say T-Mobile, in that particular way, is the most progressive of the carriers. Because if someone were to ask me, how do you solve a problem on a carrier? If you're on T-Mobile, I tell you Twitter. If you're on AT&T or Verizon, I say call their support line. Because you're going to get nowhere with contacting AT&T or Verizon through Twitter. They're still very old world companies in that sense. They do all their best work talking over the phone. But yeah, T-Mobile 100%. They control Twitter. Carriers should recruit reps from our Android. Oh my god. Only if you want the reps to be cussing everybody out every other day. And to also be very poorly informed. I can see store reps saying call Google. Yeah. But one of these days, Google's going to have to set up actual customer service that's capable of doing things and knowing what they're talking about. I know it's a long shot, but imagine. You're getting the credit card benefits, though. Oh, no, 100%. That's why I do it. I do not deny. I even tell people. I freely admit. That's the reason I want them to. That's why I want to pay for things on my card and then have them Venmo me the money. I want those credit card points. I can't tell you how much I have actually earned thanks to this. I would say more than once, not like in an individual trip, but I would say at least once or twice, I basically paid for nights out just because I've used my card and gotten points on it. If you have not taken this tactic yourself, if you ever go out with friends, do this. Earn those points. Make sure you got a credit card that gives you a like 1.5% back on your purchases, maybe 2%, and ideally, especially one that does restaurants, at like 2 or 3% on restaurants would be fantastic. Yeah, 100%. Offer to throw it on your card and just have everyone Venmo you. Problem solved. You just made a lot of money. And oh god, it actually irritates the crap out of me. I've got a couple of friends. I haven't hung out with them in forever, even before coronavirus. But I have a couple of friends who were determined to always pay cash. And every time I saw it, it's like, listen, okay, I don't even care that you're not paying me. That's fine. Like, I'd like to be making these points, but whatever. But while you're not doing it for yourself, you're dumb. If you go into a restaurant, use a credit card. Which sucks to say. If this were 10 years ago, I would have said the exact opposite. Use cash, because restaurants do not pay, or they do not calculate their taxes with cash. Cash purchases at a restaurant, those vanish under the table like immediately. So, you know, they're saving wherever they can on taxes. Cash purchases just disappear. It's a fact. But it also usually means that employees, especially if you tip in cash, and I will say this, even if you're using a credit card to buy the meal, it's okay to tip in cash. Which is a weird thing to do. A lot of people won't do it. I'm not judging or complaining about this, but I will say, if you tip in cash as opposed to through the credit card, more of that money actually usually does make it to the person you're tipping, which sucks, but it's true. Let's see. Anyway, where is it? Oof, OnePlus Watch not doing always on display. Okay, is that something that just got posted? Because I hadn't seen that, but that seems ill-advised. OnePlus Watch always on display. Okay, just got posted. All right. Let's see. I'm scrolling down through options to see which site we'll use for this. All right, how about, is this site gonna be ugly? Don't be ugly. No, I just won't even use it. Okay. Okay, so let's see. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, for the OnePlus Watch, honestly, if you don't have always on display, it makes sense because they've hyped up their battery life. What was it? You're gonna get, what did they say you were gonna get? Was it 2 weeks of battery life? Now I don't recall. OnePlus Watch Q&A says it won't have always on display at launch. Smooth animations, Google Fit syncing, and phone compatibility is also laid out. Really? Google Fit syncing? I guess through the app, yeah, that makes sense. But who even cares? Google Fit barely works. Okay. I was gonna leave this out, but we'll sidetrack quickly to OnePlus, then I want to go back to that T-Mobile bit in a little bit. But, so with this, okay, I mean, to some extent it makes sense to use Google Fit, but at the same time, I mean, there have been complaints about the service just not working anymore. Lots of complaints. I'm stuck on why you would use it. Anyways, some prospective buyers might be dismayed to learn that there's no always-on display option for the OP Watch, as has become standard for Wear OS, Fitbit, and the Apple Watch. OnePlus says that its testing indicated that an always-on display would cut the watch's battery life by approximately half. Honestly, I feel like that's actually a conservative estimate in the bad sense. I would expect it to cut the battery life more. Anyway, based on user feedback, OnePlus may add the option in a future update. The screen is activated by detecting a raised arm or pressing the watch's button. It should also activate on the press of the screen, but whatever. Let's see. Okay, it'll sync data with the OnePlus Health app, which itself can sync to Google Fit. All right, that makes more sense. It'll support sleep tracking, calorie tracking, along with integrated GPS for exercise sessions. Battery can last 25 hours with GPS enabled. That's really good. That feels suspicious, actually. I bet this isn't real GPS enabled. This is more like you turn it on in the same way you turn on Bluetooth. Like maybe once in a while it'll ping the satellites to kind of get its location, but it doesn't actually start paying attention until it detects runs. Because I just don't really believe that a battery is going to keep GPS enabled in like reasonably high precision mode. I don't think a battery the size that you could fit on your wrist is going to get you there. Let's see. See Saldana Google hardware stores. I still can't believe that never happened. See Saldana, do your friends account for tax when they Venmo you? Yeah. They could at least make it an option. Oh yeah, for always on display. And I'd actually prefer AOD to 2-week battery life. I completely agree, actually. So I've said this obviously many times. I think everyone says this. The thing about a wearable is it has to make a good watch. And it needs to be attractive, it needs to look nice, and it needs to be a good watch. Now, with a screen that turns off, I get it. That's hit and miss on quality, in terms of quality. And if it can turn on fast enough and consistently enough, okay, maybe that's not such a big deal. But having an always on display, even if it kind of just turns itself into sort of a lightweight mode, the thing that the Android Wear does, where it switches over into like a a limited color set and reduced functionality, reduced updates, so it only updates the watch face like once a minute or whatever. That sort of stuff, it increased the battery life at least enough. It made a difference, and it's better. It just having a constantly updated time, so you don't have to wait for the watch to understand it has moved into the right position. I don't see that. It's not a good experience. No one wants that. Nobody wants a screen that's off most of the time. It makes sense for a Fitbit. It makes sense for like workout trackers. It doesn't make as much sense when you're talking about something that's supposed to be a watch. So yeah, I completely agree. I can live with a wearable I have to charge, well, let's say every 2 days. But 2 weeks of battery life is overkill if you aren't getting enough functionality out of the watch. I'm fully in favor of the argument that you need the functionality, you need it to do the things you want it to do, more than you need the battery life to be insanely long. I know other people have different opinions on this. There are obviously tons and tons of former Pebble users, maybe actually probably still current Pebble users, who hold to the exact opposite ideology, because who needs a watch that does things right? But man, I'd rather have always on display in a heartbeat. Pixel watch. Someday, maybe. One can hope, right? But yeah. The thing is, I feel like this watch is going to do weirdly well. Like I said, running on 4 hours of sleep. But yeah, I feel like this watch is going to do oddly well, even though I don't think it's necessarily going to win any real awards for functionality, and may not really even be that great of a product. But I think the relatively low price, the general popularity of OnePlus, and just the high amount of hype that is attached to this watch. I mean, this OnePlus announces it's going to put out a watch that we all know is not really that different from another product out on the market already. OnePlus is putting out this watch, and it's had more coverage than so many other watches that have come out. So I think it's going to do okay. It's going to be like the OnePlus One, not great, but caught eyes. To be fair, the OnePlus One had great specs, seemingly great specs, at a great price. So yeah, it caught a lot of attention. And the specs would have been great if it weren't for low quality product, or low quality versions of the materials, because that phone was notorious for breaking down. But yeah, anyway, I'd like to I don't know. I'm curious how this will play out. I have zero doubt in my mind. Not that I've seen anybody in the AP chat room talking about it, but I have zero doubt there are going to be people who, I bet there are going to be multiple people buying the OnePlus watch at AP. Just because it kind of fits. It makes sense. Okay, let's see. Also, quick look in the RambleCast chat room. There's a link to the support page that talks about canceling and pausing the YouTube TV membership, obviously to see how recordings work, and a reference to the U.S. carriers closing the security loophole that allowed SMS hijacking, which both of these, yes. It's so insane that some of this stuff lasted as long as it did. Okay, anyway, we'll come back to that one. Finally, the final tent pole in this huge T-Mobile Google partnership or deal. They're going to, quote, expand support and sales of Google hardware like the Pixel. So, to me, there are two aspects to this. One, what does this mean for Pixel? And the obvious question here, the obvious topic is, does this mean that Pixel phones are now going to be like front and center in T-Mobile stores? Like, as you walk in the door, are you going to be are you going to have to like turn your body to get past a Google Pixel stand of phones? Are they going to have like just one of each in the showroom, or are they going to have like, you walk in and there's going to be a small line of Pixels, every single model, like 2 or 3 of them that you can try and play with all at once? I don't think it's going to be that intense, but I'm sort of embellishing. Or is it going to be like, hey, we're not sticking them at the back of the store anymore, where you have to like crowd into a corner to get to the 3 Pixel phones that we care about selling. I say 3, but I should probably say like 2. Anyway, yeah. Man, my throat is just doing weird things today. Let's see. I know, right? iPhone is right in front of my face. And yeah, that's one of the things. I know that this isn't common in every store every time, but I certainly remember walking into AT&T stores in the past, and while I'm sure this isn't true in every AT&T store. In fact, I remember some in Vegas that were very much not like this, but the nearest one to me, you walk in the door and first off, there's a massive like open floor space. They had nothing in there. But then once you get past that, like the very first thing you encounter is a big island of it. In the most recent case I have, all Samsung phones. You can tell AT&T was pushing Samsung. No questions asked. It was all about pushing Samsung. Tablets, phones, whatever it is, that's what they were featuring. And it was in your face how much Samsung was the phone du jour. Or rather the OEM du jour. But yeah, anyway, is that what we're about to see with Google? Is T-Mobile now going to have big ass stands right up front featuring Pixels? Or is this going to be more like, yeah, we're just not sticking them all the way in the back anymore? And will this get like window banners? Are they going to start having promotional materials sitting there? Or is it just going to be kind of, again, just like a commitment to start carrying all the Pixel phones? Because even that used to be in question. It used to be they might cover the A-line phones, but not the big phone. Or, and I'm just giving an example. I'm not sure if that ever actually happened, since we've only had 2 generations of A phones. But yeah, you know, we've seen cases where a carrier might have 1 generation of Google phone back in the Nexus days and not the previous generation. Whereas a different store you could walk into and they might still have the previous generation, but not the new generation. I know that happened for a while with Verizon. I don't know if it's happened much besides that, but it definitely did exist with Verizon, at least briefly. Let's see. T-Mobile and Google say the carrier has the most blah, blah, blah. Okay. And obviously the other angle on this is what other Google hardware are they going to be selling? Everyone keeps listing Nest, and I could certainly see it. But, like, how far does this go? Are T-Mobile stores going to be like, hey, we're kind of low-key also a Nest brand store? You know, we're not putting Nest branding anywhere on the outside, but the moment you walk in, hey, you can buy your security system, you can buy your cameras, you can buy all these other oddball things. Is it going to reach that point? Or what about Chromecast? Or I guess Chromecast with Google TV, because they couldn't come up with a better name, like Sabrina. Are they going to have, like, what are they going to have? That is the eternal question here. How much are they going to put in there? And or is this going to be like maybe a rotating lineup of products? That's also a possibility. Maybe it'll be like once every couple months, maybe they reevaluate and say, you know what, we're just not moving very many Chromecasts through the store. Let's take those out, and instead we'll put in I don't know. Oops. What else does store.google have? Oh, hey, there we go. How about Fitbits? Maybe let's start pushing Fitbits through T-Mobile stores. Why not? That would totally make sense. What about Stadia? Walk into T-Mobile, and next thing you know, it's time to fire up Stadia. Like, that could totally be a thing. Let's see, within Nest, like, there's so many Nest products. Could they be selling thermostats through T-Mobile? I honestly have no idea, but that possibility is there. And it's a weird possibility. It also wouldn't be that weird compared to AT&T selling, like, not Uverse, that kind of made sense, but AT&T selling DirecTV. That never made sense. That was always such a weird dynamic. And no one ever bought it, from what I understand. Very, very few people were ever interested in getting DirecTV through AT&T. Anyway, so yeah. And will this now make the Pixel line competitive in sales numbers? Are they going to start eating some Samsung and Apple's market share? I assume it would not be at all surprising to see Pixel phones maybe eating up a lot of OnePlus's market share. But yeah, where this goes, this will be the easiest thing to watch. I think we're gonna see definitive results out of this. Either it has no effect and Pixel phones just continue to kind of flounder, or we're gonna see maybe Pixel phones suddenly shoot back up to the, like, hey, you're actually pulling numbers now. This finally looks like a profitable phone. I don't know yet, but I think this is the one place where we're going to see actual results. Well, that and maybe RCS. We'll see how RCS goes. Let's see. So, speaking of Google hardware, we may as well, I'm just gonna give the quick bit about this, because why not? Pixel Buds A. We talked about it in chat. I'm curious if there's some chance that this is going to be a different kind of thing. Are they going to cut corners? What corners can they cut? You guys were obviously talking about this yesterday. I agree. I hate the name. The name is trash. I really hope they change it, because Pixel Buds A, when I see that, let's see, can I quickly do this without it being a huge pain in the ass? Oh, sure I can. We'll quickly hop in here, add, where's it at? Ah, there we go. Sure, we'll say that. What I see, I just want to add the colon to that. So, in other words, ooh, I need to trim down that size too. Come on. I do not make this a fast process in OBS. Oof, that's way too tiny. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. That's what I think of. It looks like the start of a title. Not a full name, but it looks like Pixel Buds, a strong start. A expensive Christmas gift. I guess that probably could have used a little bit smaller font after all. Pixel Buds, a lost cause. Like, yeah, the capital A. And I think that is part of the problem. But no matter what, just having the, yeah, they can't do this. It is not a good look. And you know what? If they had instead done this, oops, there you go, Pixel Buds 2A, done, problem solved. Now you're matching the pixel branding decisions that already have been made. This would work. Lowercase a after a number. It's not good. I still don't like it, but it doesn't look triple weird to me. Pixel Buds Go would have been better. Yeah, I'm good with that. Pixel Buds Go. Like, why not? There you go. Pixel Buds Go. It looks right. I mean, it's not great. I honestly don't think Pixel Buds is even a great name, but okay, so I hate suggesting this because it obviously calls back to it calls back to Apple, but how about it? Pixel Pods. It's a bad name, but it's more fun. It's got some shtick to it. And Diablo, I know that was from earlier tests, but I gotta say, Pixel Pods, if they should rebrand. Or you know what? Actually, how about just Pixel Earbuds? I know it is less cool than just shortening to buds, but Pixel Earbuds, honestly, I don't know what it is, but something about Pixel Buds just never sat super well with me. I don't know. I want this. It just doesn't feel good in its current form. I don't like its current name. Anyway, so we'll dump that message for the moment. But anyway, yeah. Outside of that, this is just a report that there's going to be a new name. We'll see how that actually plays out. Remember Pixel Buds with Type C? Yeah. Not exactly on topic. In fact, very, very off topic. But funny enough, speaking of products that just kind of had that particular naming convention. I just got sent a PR for a product yesterday, which I still haven't gotten a response back from the PR person, which kind of a shame. But it's for a portable mic. Here we go. It's the Video Mic Me C. Now, this is from a company called Rode. Rode makes microphones. They make really good microphones. In fact, I know where it is, but it's just out of reach. That camera-mounted camera-mounted shotgun mic that I have, that's made by Rode. Fantastic mic, really good. So here's the thing. This exact same mic has existed for 4 years now. It was made to work with iPhones. It previously had, let's even pop it up. The Video Mic ME. I'm assuming it's supposed to be Video Mic Me, but the original version was... Okay, there was... Seriously? The product picture on the outside had it. This. So it was actually designed with the TRRS jack, and it sat flush against the phone. Obviously, we don't have headphone jacks in phones anymore because the passage of time has made that super uncool. But yeah, anyway, so they since then have released a version, which strangely, oh, here it is. The Video Mic Me L. That one is the Lightning version, which has been around for quite a while. I forget when this one was announced, but this is not a new product, not by a long shot. They announced it at least, I'd say, 2 years ago. I'd have to look, but I think it was about that. Anyway, they're just now getting around to doing a Type-C version, which seems a little off to me. Like, I get it. iPhone people are a little more likely to want to use this, but they really should have come out with this a lot sooner. Anyway, that being said, I'm trying to get one for review because, I mean, this is a actual legitimate good accessory for phones. I'm hoping that I can review this. Anyway, which actually I never looked. How much is this? I'm very curious. Sure, we'll see how much it is on Moment. Whoa, 79. Honestly, I was expecting like 110. I don't know why, because that's probably a bit too much, but yeah, I was expecting something. I was expecting over 100, or at least like 99. That's really good. I'm not about to, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't buy one for myself, but that is really good. Would look sick on a mobile gimbal setup. I mean, that's very much what they're, they are pushing. It's at the bottom of this page. Yeah, the Vlogger Kit, which Moment's been pushing something just like this on the iPhone side, but I don't know if it was all Rode's stuff. Where view all 5, there we go. They should have. Oh, they don't. Also, they're pushing the Atomos Shinobi. Huh. That's interesting. Okay. How about... Okay, I know that they had... They were pushing kits, and I'm not seeing it yet. Okay, none of that stuff's Rode. Huh. Maybe they took those down. Anyway, yeah, so they are definitely doing or pushing the vlogger kit. Rode definitely doesn't make lights. So that must be coming from, is that a, I guess I'm looking. Is that Loom Cube or damn it, the other one? Micro LED light. Is it from a company? It may not be. They might just be buying like some random no-name. Yeah, it just says micro LED on camera light. Yeah, that actually does not look... That's not Loom Cube and it's not Lytra. So I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's probably some off-brand thing. It comes with filters and a diffuser. That's kind of nice. No sign of anything else having brands on it, though. Tripod also looks pretty cheap. I mean, I'm not hating on it, but yeah, not the greatest stuff. Regardless, yeah, I do want to test this thing out because honestly, like, how many... Okay, I know that this is kind of a weird point to make, but I'm being serious about this. Think of how good the audio recording is out of your smartphone. It's not bad, but it's never that great. It's fine for phone calls. In fact, it's usually pretty great for phone calls. But man, once you hear things through a really good microphone, completely changes everything. Plus, and I know that this is not their intended market per se, but think about this in the context of like, I'll say Zoom calls, but really any video chat. Because if you're in a loud environment, your phone is picking up tons of sound. But you put on a shotgun mic, even one that's as short and small as this, and you're going to isolate a lot more sound. And it's going to be pointed at you. It's going to actually like work. So yeah, I gotta say, this is something that I think would be kind of neat. It's not like it's going to give you movie quality audio. You would never use this to like shoot a short film or anything, but you know, it is something. So yeah, I emailed the PR guy. Hopefully he'll send one out to me. And I already cleared it with AP, so I don't have to ask anyone else for permission or anything. Sorry, just weird little offshoot because of the Type-C port thing. Okay, so yeah, and well, we talked about this in the chat room before and briefly alluded to it a second ago. What the hell are they going to really cut from the Pixel Buds to make an A version? I mean, we're assuming that this is going to be the lightweight version. Maybe the A version isn't the lightweight in this case. Maybe it's not the cheap product. Maybe this is like a premium version. Maybe it's not like higher or lower, but kind of a lateral product. You know, kind of like they make office chairs and gaming chairs. This is a bad example, but I'm going to use it anyway. They can be at the same price points, but offer completely different types of features and qualities. I could see that being what this is. Like, maybe they're going to make a Pixel Buds A that totally different intention. Like maybe it would be longer battery life, but missing whatever extra features that were there. Maybe it would be something that's designed for, in fact, maybe A is short for athletics. Maybe Pixel Buds A are actually going to be the model that you want if you're like working out. Like they'll be impervious to falling out, or I don't know what else. That's just the best thing I have. Maybe they'll be like waterproof, sweat proof. They won't ever fall out of your ears, short of like being tugged out with like like tie something onto them to pull them out. I'm exaggerating obviously, but maybe not. That's the best I've got, but there is some chance of it. Maybe that is their goal. I hope it's not that serious, but I don't know. With a naming choice like this, it does scream that there's got to be something else. 9 to 5 says they can confirm they'll be available in 2 colors, white and green. Let's see. The white model will differentiate itself with an all-white case interior and all-white bud design versus the black plastic of the ear tips, wings, and case interior seen in last year's model for all colors. To give a better idea of what this design could look like, we've altered a photo of last year's blah blah blah. Okay. Meanwhile, the green Pixel Buds will use a much darker forest green. You know what? I will say to that, thank you. Thank you. I'm so tired of the pastels. Google has really ridden hard on this pastel look, and I'm not against it, but I just don't want it most of the time. I like deeper, darker colors. I like rich colors. And, I don't want them to necessarily be black, but man, I like phones that go with... I was just thinking, I wonder if I have any of the phones near me that have nice colors on them. The first thing that comes to my mind is the Galaxy Note 5 that I have. I'm not sure where it is, but that phone was gorgeous. Really, really deep, rich blue. Royal blue of some kind. It was incredible. I want more phones that look like that. I don't know that this is necessarily going to be like a rich color or more of a flat tone, but any change would be neat. Let's see. Just like the white, the dark green will be used on the inside of the charging case as well as the earbuds. Inward facing pieces like the ear tips and wings. Great. Let's see. Both generations, blah blah blah. Touch control, or both generations before them, they'll offer touch controls for both media controls and access to Google Assistant. Touch controls themselves should be almost identical, if not exactly the same as last year. Pricing is unknown. At this point, yeah, they're just guessing that the A means it'll be cheaper. I agree the A probably does indicate lower price, but we don't know, and until we know, I feel like it's a stretch. So yeah, kind of at the moment putting that one out, but it's interesting. Okay, so just switching topics, but this was the next tab I had in the lineup, so it's an easy one. Google skips April Fool's Day. Look, I'm gonna say this makes me both happy and sad. When it comes to April Fool's Day jokes, when Google did them right, they were great. The YouTube the YouTube subscription that they had damn it. If you guys haven't seen this, it's great. It was a YouTube subscription where they would send long haul trucks to your house and drop off CDs of all of YouTube. And if I remember, the joke also hinted at planning to deliver like paper copies of, like, paper transcripts of YouTube videos or something like that. But those jokes were great because they were so absurd, so ridiculous, so over the top, and they were just actual fun. And Google in general kind of does April Fool's Day jokes better. But man, I'll tell you, if you have to cover things as news, I can't count how many times so many companies would absolutely just horrendously screw up April Fool's Day. Oh man, I had one of those brief heart attack moments where I saw something and was like, crap, did I just put the wrong charger into the box that I sent back to DJI? I did not, thankfully, but momentary panic. Anyway, yeah, if you have to cover April Fool's Day posting, or not cover them, but if you cover news and you're watching companies that are posting April Fool's Day jokes, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And even just as a news reader, I passionately hated reading April Fool's Day stuff after April Fool's Day. I can't count how many times I've searched for things, stumbled onto an article, and not looked at the date on an article or a posting, and getting like halfway through reading it before thinking, this makes no sense. None of this stuff happened, or none of it could possibly be real. And then finally, down at the bottom, they reveal it's an April Fool's Day joke, and it's like, you asshole, you literally just wasted 5 minutes of my life and took me off the path of researching a thing just so you could make a dumb joke. A joke you will never even see me laugh at, or you will never see the comedy. You will not be there. You made this up, you wrote this thing, or you produced this thing, and it is trash. Because you will never get the enjoyment of pranking somebody, and that person you pranked is pissed. They now hate you with like the fire of 1,000 suns. They want you dead because you just ruined their day, or at least their 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm super on board. Super on board with actually just straight up saying, yeah, let's cancel April Fool's Day. Or if you're gonna do it, please just up front, first thing, hashtag April Fools. Just slap that right on the front of anything that you do. Just to be clear, because when people are reading that article in October, they're not going to be on the lookout for this stuff. Anyway, so that's my quick take on this. I like April Fool's Day when it's treated more like Halloween trick or treat. No one wants the trick in trick or treat. You always want the treat. As long as it's all like truly in good fun and it's taken lightly, it's good. So to that extent, I will say though, I'm gonna miss some of the fun stuff Google would do with it. Let's see. Austin brought up Volkswagen. Yeah, I saw that link in there, but is there much to take away from that? I mean, how many people thought that was serious, I guess is kind of my question. Because first off, I fully admit I don't even remember hearing or reading about that. But let's see, there's the Volkswagen thing. Volkswagen of America lied about rebranding to Volkswagen. Which I think I just said that wrong twice. But from the company that brought you Dieselgate, yeah. All right, so it was a marketing stunt done ahead of April Fool's Day. This all started when Volkswagen of America accidentally published a draft version of a press release announcing the change on Monday, which was first reported by CNBC. The company has declined to comment on the report, and spokesperson Mark Giles? I'm gonna go Gillies. Repeatedly declined to say whether the name change was a marketing stunt. Well, there is a marketing stunt in here, so it is. Anyway, yeah, this is a company trying to play they're making the classic mistake of they're making a classic mistake in doing this, but they thought it was a clever way to sort of say, haha, we did a bad thing. But no, seriously, we're the good guys here. Don't worry, we have the right thing in mind. Anyway, yeah, I think that this is effectively the Streisand effect, just waiting to happen. They're doing a thing to sort of play on the events that happened. Meanwhile, the best thing they could have done is just kind of let everyone forget and actually become the good guys. Internally, and that actually would have been a funny thing to do, is what they should have done. Here is guerrilla marketing. Here's a guerrilla marketing strategy that actually would have worked. Start releasing, or keep releasing. I'm not quite sure how their status is, but, keep pushing hard on moving to electric. Then leak, not internal documents like this, but have like a Volkswagen employee reveal semi-publicly and in some sneaky way, have them reveal that internally the company likes to call itself Volkswagen in this spelling. Have the imply that this is a thing that the employees say. That would be 1,000,000 times more effective than this weird, let's just quasi call the company by a different name just because. Like, have it be a thing where the employees supposedly say it, because then it becomes, well, if the employees say it, it must be true. They believe in it. Therefore, that's what the company has become. That's the message that works. Not telling the public, oh yeah, we're going to rebrand. Nah, we're actually not rebranding. But no, seriously, it's neat, right? No, you're doing a Streisand effect. You're getting people pissed. It's honestly better than Volkswagen. I mean, yeah, but they knew that 66 years ago. Would have been cool though. The thing is, no company wants to rebrand like this to something nearly identical that doesn't really net them much of a gain. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but, and the funny thing is, if they revealed that employees were internally calling it Volkswagen, like, because they actually quote unquote believe in it, and they don't have to, that could obviously be just totally made up crap, but if that was revealed, the funny thing is, then the internet would be like, no, that's a great name. They definitely need to rebrand to this. That it's perfect. But now that they've revealed that they don't intend to do that, and I think even before that, a lot of people are already kind of saying, yeah, this just feels dumb. It's all in how you present it, and they're not presenting in the right way. Which, you know, far be it for a car company to not be the best at PR. It's not like that's never happened before. Anyway, yeah, so... okay, sorry, but Verge writer. I know that this isn't the most important thing, but it annoys me so much that this never stops coming up. Volkswagen's various social media accounts also promoted the lie on Tuesday. The @VW account tweeted an image of the fake Volkswagen image and wrote 66 is an unusual age to change your name. That's a nod to the age of the American subsidiary, duh. Not that the larger Volkswagen Group, which was founded in the 1930s before it became part of the Nazi war machine. Guys, you don't need to mention that every time the company comes up. I can't count how many times I've read articles about Volkswagen and someone has to say, oh, by the way, they were part of the Nazis. Guys, the people who were alive when all of this stuff happened, they're not anymore. Okay, maybe there might be like a handful, literally a handful of people who were alive at that time. And I'm talking alive, not even involved. Just alive. Born. That was 80 to 90 years ago. It's not like, unless they were employing kids in their teens, the odds are pretty good. No one else is still alive from that time period. You can let that part of history go away. It's all right. At a certain point, you have to at least say, you know what? No one there is a Nazi anymore. Which, okay, maybe that's not true. Maybe there are. I assume, statistically speaking, because apparently that's a fairly large group these days. But statistically speaking, the company probably is not super sympathetic to the Nazis. So let's stop bringing it up all the fucking time. Sean O'Kane, stop. Not everything on the internet has to be associated to the Nazis. Though, oh wow, this guy's all about the hot takes. Let's see. Volkswagen is at the beginning of an $86 billion push into electric vehicles because it wants to be known as the leader in this space. A strategic shift that, again, was inspired by the fact that the company was caught installing software on its vehicles that was meant to fool regulators into allowing dirty cars on the road. It did not seem completely out of the question that the company would be willing to make such a ridiculous choice. After all, Volkswagen Group CEO Hubert Diess, whatever, has spent the last few months emulating Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who makes erratic decisions like most people drink water. Sean O'Kane is not trying to make friends today, or yesterday, I guess. He's pissed, and he needs people to know. I mean, taking shots at Volkswagen, like this whole article is kind of hit PC. There's some hostility here. It's not that the company was like just bad PR on this. It's that they lied. But now we know the rebrand was nothing more than another lie from the company that became known for something else. Lying. How many times can we tell people they lied? Yeah, sorry. But I know mocking other writers may not be entirely sweet, but I mean, come on. Like, just straight up hating on Elon, hating on Volkswagen. Sean, what is your method of transportation? If you write for The Verge, there's like a better than 50% chance you actually live in New York City. So I'm assuming you're a subway and sneaker net sort of commuter. Like, you're all about the cars are evil, maybe. I'm just feeling like there's a weird level of hostility here that Sean lives in Austin. All right, then what the hell's his problem? Because it feels like he's got some hostility here. Something is not good in Sean's life, maybe. But anyway. Oh yeah, Dieselgate. Yep. Another good bit about that. Like, though the Dieselgate thing at least is relevant to this story, but bringing up a kind of unnecessary slap against Elon Musk, which, hey, fine. Like, I get it. People enjoy slapping Elon Musk at every opportunity, so why not be one of them? But, you know, to just sort of casually throw out slaps at every opportunity, it usually indicates someone's got concerns. Needed to meet the minimum 500 word count. Yeah, that actually, I won't deny I've written that way more than once myself. So let's see. Austin said, I'm looking at an ID4 now because Chevy bought back the Bolt last week due to the charging port melting. Wow. Oh, that's fun. I think. Good luck on the shopping. But yeah, so anyway, the writing aside, I don't think that this is the biggest deal. I don't think it matters that much that this was a poor marketing decision on Volkswagen's part. But it does stand out as something that could have been done better. Both the writing and Volkswagen's decisions. Let's see. Wow, it's actually 4 o'clock already. That's not bad. I wondered how long this would go, and we're making it better than I thought. Oh, we already finished with this one. Well, and speaking of companies maybe not being the most upfront and honest, the FTC is effectively dropping its case against Qualcomm. You guys, yeah, thanks for linking this one. I definitely would have missed this one. Kind of already talked about the OnePlus Watch. Short version is the lack of always on display, not good. Yeah, they need to have it. Like, a 14-day battery life is great, but you need it. Or you need always on display. Sorry, I don't know why every time I keep saying it, I'm saying that vaguely. But yeah, you need an always on display on a watch, unless it is explicitly a fitness tracker like Fitbit. But if it's presumably more about being a watch, just go with the always on display. It doesn't matter if it cuts battery life. They say it cuts it in half, so instead of 14 days, it's a 7-day battery life. If people think that that's not enough, they've got a problem. You need to charge it once a week. Charge it on Saturday nights or something, fine. And seriously, if you are charging it at night, or if you need to pick like one night of the week to charge it, it's not that big a deal. You may or may not have used a third-party unapproved Tesla to CCS1 adapter and not read the directions at to which, I'm assuming, end gets plugged in first, or which contact, something. Anyway, yeah, that's something. C. Saldana. Okay, if you want to follow the links closer, there is the link to that post, because it obviously links out further. But the Qualcomm FTC case, basically, the FTC has been very obviously and rightfully accusing Qualcomm of abusing monopoly, because when it comes right down to it, it is basically the only chip maker for phones that has full access to most of the patents. They have tons and tons of access to companies. They've got leverage power that is way outside of the usual means, we'll say. It is completely unrealistic for most companies to look somewhere else. That is just a casual reality of what's going on. There is simply no way any other company can realistically compete with Qualcomm when Qualcomm owns so many of the patents and has so much leverage. So, Qualcomm's pricing, the deals that they're cutting with partners, all of this stuff has been accused very, very reasonably of being a monopoly and that it's being abused. Anyway, the FTC has taken this to court. The initial court filing, the initial Federal Circuit Court ruled in favor of Qualcomm, and then it was overturned by was it overturned by an appeals court? Okay, they were going to take it to the Supreme Court and then back down. That's what it was. Anyway, The Verge writer who wrote this, Sean Hollister. Sean Hollister brought up, and I completely agree with his take on this, that the FCC's statement of why they're dropping this, because this really wouldn't be much of a story outside of kind of like a quick update saying, yep, the FTC is dropping this because reasons. But the statement that the FTC released is so telling to what they really wanted to say. But if they had said it, it would have looked worse. So I'll just read it verbatim, because why not? Given the significant headwinds facing the Commission in this matter, the FTC will not petition the Supreme Court to review the decision of the Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit in FTC versus Qualcomm. The FTC staff did an exceptional job presenting the case, and I continue to believe that the District Court's conclusion that Qualcomm violated the antitrust laws was entirely correct, and that the Court of Appeals erred on concluding otherwise. Now more than ever, the FTC and other law enforcement agencies need to boldly enforce the antitrust laws to guard against abusive behavior by dominant firms, including in high technology markets and those that involve intellectual property. I am particularly concerned that the potential for anti-competitive or unfair behavior in the context of standard setting and the FTC will closely monitor conduct in this arena. Here's the thing. This opening phrase, given the significant headwinds facing the Commission in this matter. Okay, loosely translated, it gonna be expensive and they don't have the budget. That's it. They don't have the money to take on Qualcomm. Qualcomm is big, it's rich, it's powerful, it has connections. It is, in a very loose way, running its own little sort of vague mafia within the technology industry. Yeah, the FTC does not have that kind of power to take on a company that can pony up literally 100 times the finances in lawyers, because it's worth it to them. Qualcomm needs to prevent any any ruling coming down against them. So they will fund it. They will fight it. And if it goes anywhere near the Supreme Court, they'll do everything in their power to absolutely shut it down. So yeah, unsurprisingly, the FTC is they're giving up. And this post continues on to bring up that the FTC basically hasn't been much of a fighter lately. Let's see, they fining Google roughly 37 hours of profit for the COPA situation, which, for what it's worth, honestly, I think that was kind of a load of crap on the FTC's part. The way that they brought that case wasn't very good, and I think that was sort of making an example of a company rather than actually trying to treat it the way that situation deserved to be treated. Separate subject, but yeah, I think the FTC was actually in the wrong on that one. But then the next point that was brought up was the $5 billion fine to Facebook that was, quote, so weak Facebook's stock price actually went up. Yep. And that's kind of the problem. The FTC they don't have a spine to fight companies these days where it matters. So companies are kind of free to do what they want. And that's where Qualcomm's getting away right now. The money could be there, but it's not. And it's not being handled well. And you got to wonder where, like, that $5 billion, where did that even go? I mean, I'm sure there's some way to find out, some documentation, but it doesn't seem like that money went back into the FTC. Anyway, yeah, we need more from agencies. We need them to actually do their jobs. The FTC is pulling its punches here, and it sucks. I get why they're pulling their punches, or I think I do. Headwinds seems to be a pretty clear indicator that they're basically saying that they just can't afford an expensive legal fight. But come on, find a better way to accomplish this. That being said, I'm honestly wondering if things are going to get a little better now that Nvidia owns ARM. If by some chance that maybe undermines some of Qualcomm's control, that would be fantastic. We'll see if it happens, but I'm not holding out too much hope, but I'd like to think that maybe, just maybe, Nvidia will make it more realistic for other companies to fight on that battleground. We'll see. Let's see. Quickly looking around at a couple things. But anyway, I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on this, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, I think this is sad news, but not surprising news. Anyway, the switching again to a tangent, but one I already had the tab open for, so yay. YouTube is testing getting rid of the dislike button. So this is going to be... Wait, did Nvidia back out? Did I miss that part of the story? Nvidia ARM. ARM's V9 architecture explains why Nvidia needs to buy it. I mean, just... Oh. Well, wait. Okay, so this says Nvidia's or a $40 billion deal to buy ARM is all but dead. It's a classic example of geopolitics killing. Okay. Normally would have sailed through without registering beyond the computing industry. I mean, that's not really true, but okay. Instead, it has made international headlines with UK and EU monopolies regulators launching an in-depth investigation after outcry from competitors. Which is ironic because I don't think Nvidia was really that bad of a buyer. So the only competitors I can think of fighting this aren't fighting it over the legitimacy of Nvidia buying it. They're just fighting over the fact that they don't want Nvidia to have, they don't want anyone else to have it, I think. So yeah, at the very least. Okay, so okay, these guys saying why it won't happen. Upon the announcement of the agreement in September, Nvidia and ARM said they would need green lights from regulators, including those in the US, Europe, and China. This is despite the fact that, in theory, Nvidia and ARM do not compete with one another directly. By this narrow definition, the merger doesn't look anti-competitive, according to the standards employed around the world. The EU appears to have greater concerns, however. It worries that the merger would mean ARM would lose its impartiality when licensing technologies. Would ARM favor Nvidia if it started competing in the automotive sector against Bosch in Germany, for example, or for instance? Such worries are reasonable but remain hypothetical. The biggest pushback behind the scenes actually appears to be from China. Ever since the US blacklisted Huawei and other semiconductor manufacturers in China, Beijing has been obsessed with becoming technically self-sufficient. While it works towards this goal. Okay, so yeah, all right. That it makes. I get the argument this article's making. Whether or not it's accurate, I think it's a little more hypothetical that China is necessarily putting its foot down. Because, I mean, yeah. Alright, well, it is what it is. But the deal, as far as I can tell, it's still technically on, just stalled. Yeah, Forbes about a month later, in this post saying that the acquisition should be approved. As an opinion that it would be right to approve it, not that. Oh wait, I guess I should. Okay, just in case the title went on. That's weird. Why'd they put an ellipsis on the title here? Would it have said no? They don't do that. Yeah, the title ends with the word approved. Why is there an ellipsis on this title here? That doesn't make any sense. That shouldn't be there. Anyway. Wait, Qualcomm objects to Nvidia's $40 billion ARM acquisition? I thought they had agreed. Like that this was not a question of whether both companies were okay with it. My understanding was that they were both pretty happy to make this deal. Qualcomm has told regulators around the world that it is against Nvidia's acquisition of British chip. Oh, Qualcomm said it. Guys, see, that's how much I attribute ARM and Qualcomm. I read this and that's where my brain immediately goes. Okay, so of course Qualcomm's against it. They want to own it themselves. And they would 100,000% abuse that. It would become a true monopoly situation. Qualcomm would absolutely destroy everybody else until they could come up with some alternative to ARM. That's the problem. If Qualcomm ever gets this, we can look forward to something like 8 years of absolute total fuckery from Qualcomm. Just gonna say, total fuckery. All right, anyway, enough of that. YouTube. You guys use it. You're familiar with it. You know about it. You've been here once or twice. They're testing. They want to get rid of the dislike button, which I don't know if you've read some of the commentary that has gone on related to this story, but I gotta admit, I kind of love it. It's so much fun with how kind of absurd it gets. So the beauty of this is, well, okay, I'll come back to that. So for anyone who hasn't heard, and if you can't read the tweet that's on the screen, YouTube is testing getting rid of the dislike button, and they're kind of, not just kind of, but they're basically straight up blaming it on dislike campaigns. You know, the good old oh damn it, what is that term? Absolutely drawing a blank on this. It doesn't matter. Anyway, that when a crap load of people brigading, that's the word I was looking for. They're trying to get rid of the brigading campaigns where people would come rushing in and as much as possible, like, either ratio somebody on Twitter. For those who don't know, ratio means to have more quote retweets or comments than to get likes. It's usually a sign that people are not happy with what you posted. Anyway, yeah, historically, disliking things on YouTube is a common way of showing that you're not exactly a big fan. Anyway, this the tendency of dislike campaigns, I'm sorry, it's so trivial. It's stupid. But anyway, because YouTube is trying to squash this thing, their approach is to get rid of the dislike button entirely, or at least stop showing dislike counts. You think they should have a way to recognize if a video is getting brigaded and then hide it if it really matters? Here's the thing. I don't think it matters. So here's the issue. If you have ever looked into how the YouTube algorithm works, they have a metric that they use for what gets recommended, what types of stuff that they highlight, how they determine that a video has engagement. Now, I don't know the exact math, but it basically works this way. If a video gets, let's say, 100 likes, let's say that's worth 100 points. I don't know. We're just going to kind of throw this around. This is made up math at this point. Now, if it gets dislikes, it gets something like, say, let's say it gets 100 dislikes. They still give it points. The points are just worth less. So if you dislike something, it might get, say, I don't know, half as many points. So if 100 people dislike it, you might get 50 points. Here's the thing. If people don't like or dislike it, you don't get points. Technically, watching it also earns you some points, watching it, sharing it, doing anything at all, commenting, all these things are worth points. But if someone just watches a video and does absolutely nothing else, it is effectively equal to no points. So when people dislike something, it's still actually going to serve to make it more relevant. It is counted as engagement. That engagement means that they're going to it is inspiring people to react. And I mean, we've all heard about this with Facebook. We've all heard about this with Twitter. People keep accusing these social networks of feeding posts to people that might spread fake news, or that it might get people riled up, things like that. And the whole idea is that they're doing this because they want to keep people on the social network. They want people to be they want people to be so engaged that they kind of lose track of time and spend all their time doom scrolling, basically. Well, the accusation has been leveled at YouTube, and in point of fact, it's been proven to be entirely true. And by proven, I don't mean, I'm not talking leaked documents. I'm not talking sketchy anything. I'm talking literal people have sat down and gone out of their way to actually generate real fake, I know this is a weird thing to say, but real fake clicks on the dislike button to see if it has the effect that they think it does, and it absolutely does have that effect. If you do a big dislike campaign on a video, it serves to promote that video, and it's because YouTube thinks, oh, it's getting engagement, it's making people mad. That doesn't make it a bad video. That just means people are getting it just means it's eliciting a response. And that is valuable to Google. Now, granted, sometimes dislike campaigns will affect what kinds of sponsors you get. It may lower the value of your ads, things like that. But hey, it is what it is. So here's the thing. I don't think they need to care about brigades. Like, if a video or channel is getting brigaded, all those people are doing is literally fighting against their own interests. They're literally doing the thing that is helping that video or channel get more attention, which is so idiotic on so many levels. So anyway, yeah, the dislike button does not actually accomplish any of what people want it to. However, and I've seen comments bring this up, I completely agree with them. If the video is a scam, or it's like propaganda, fake information, falsified scientific results, any of this stuff, having people brigade it a lot of times can actually be the great way to see that this is a thing that probably should be ignored. Like, YouTube may not get a report, or may not act on a report for days, weeks, sometimes months. And when you consider that can mean a scam sits on the site for long periods of time and possibly amasses lots of views before it finally gets noticed, that can reveal a lot. That can be a real problem. But the thing is, if you allow people to dislike the video, that has a strong indicator, or it can be a strong indicator to people, hey, maybe you need to look in, or maybe you need to know. So yeah, as it is, or should have been, to agree, if a video is getting videos, all of a sudden maybe YouTube staff, hey, yeah, crap load of dislikes, let's take this one down, it's a problem. Or it doesn't make sense to take away the dislike button. And as a lot of other commenters brought up, YouTube is one of the few sites that actually still has a dislike button. Crap, did the stream break? Looks like I'm still seeing movement on my end. Yeah, looks like it's fine to me. Watching for the next comment to roll in, because I saw it move on the other screens, but it's not loading up in my dashboard comments yet. All right, I'm refreshing that page because maybe that'll make a difference. Oh, okay. You're saying it's good now? Cool. Though weird. There's some weird stuff happening with the YouTube dashboard. I have no idea why, but I'm getting first time use tutorial bubbles popping up saying, oh, what you need to do is this, what you need to do is that. And it's like, no, I know, I've been doing this stuff for a year. I know how it works. Thanks. And I don't know why. Also, when I refreshed, for some reason, the number of viewers went down to 1, which obviously wasn't right. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, who knows? YouTube's weirdness remains YouTube's weirdness. But anyway, the dislike count, like, why? YouTube does it right. I like that they have it. I like that it is still effectively anonymous. It works well. Yes, it technically is an issue for the rare occasion that dislike brigading happens. But the effect of that is so trivial. And it doesn't matter. Nobody should be caring that there's dislike campaigns. It's hurting their cause when they do them. And it only serves to it has value to YouTube to be able to see when that stuff happens. It's like another way of reporting a video, kind of. So yeah, my obvious vote, if it's not entirely clear at this point, is that they definitely should not get rid of the dislike button, or sorry, get rid of dislikes. Or a dislike count, whatever version they end up going with, because I assume they'll keep the dislike button. They kind of said that they would, but if they stop showing the dislike count, I think that's missing the goal. I will say though, this strikes me as possibly this might not be the real reason that they're doing this. Part of me thinks they might be getting rid of the dislike button because I think they're going to start changing how it works. Or I'm just raising a theory based on nothing, but it means maybe a quick look to see if live streams are playing. Oh, here's so. At least one noise. So maybe it's on my side. I'll stop and restart stream. Okay, so killing video right now, and we'll probably be back